All right, students, so for the homework, the first problem, you're going to notice that over here there is an arrow. So that means that that function goes that way forever and ever and ever until infinity. So that means that I don't know where it begins or ends on this, where it begins on this side or where it is the bottommost. So I'm only going to have one boundary for it. So for the domain, which I'm going to do in blue, it's the x values. I know that it ends here at positive 5, but I have no way to know where it begins because the arrow goes down and down and down. So whenever that's the case, one of your endpoints is an arrow, you'll only have the set notation go this way. X is either greater than or less than whatever number this is. So in this case, this graph goes to the left of that boundary, which is 5. And it's a closed circle, so it includes it. So that means that x values are going to be less than or equal to positive 5. So that means that x is going to be less than or equal to 5. And I'm done with that one because, again, the arrow, we don't know where it ends right here. It just keeps going forever and ever. The range I'm going to do in pink. Okay, and again, for the range, I know that the topmost that it reaches is this positive 2. But the downmost that it reaches, we don't know because that arrow keeps going and going and going, so it never really stops. It goes for infinity. So that means that also my y will only have one inequality because I only know this boundary on the top. So from here, my function, which is that line right there, goes below 2 on the y. So it is 2 or less. So y is going to be less than or equal to positive 2. For the next problem, this one we do have a clear begin and end. So I'm going to begin with the domain. On the x, right, I notice that it begins here at negative 5 and it ends here at negative 2, okay? This is an open circle. Okay, so I know that my domain, I always start with the squiggly bracket, the x, the set of x's such as, our line. The x is going to be between the values of negative 5 and negative 2. So I'm going to put negative 5 and negative 2 and close the bracket. Now I have to decide what my inequalities will be. From negative 5, my x values that include this function right here are going to be to the right of negative 5. In other words, this function is going to be in the greater than negative 5, but less than negative 2. So greater than over here, and it's an open circle, so it does not include it. So x is going to be greater than negative 5. Notice how the x wins because it's greater, and it gets the 2 cookies, or it gets eaten by Pac-Man, or whatever you want to say. For negative 2, okay, it goes, here's the boundary, and it goes this way to the left. So it's going to be less than negative 2. And again, an open circle. So x is less than, so it loses with the 1 cookie, less than negative 2. And that's the domain. Now I'm going to write my boundaries for the range. So for the range, okay, my topmost value it reaches is right here. And my most downward one is this one. So I know my range is going to be from 4 to negative 4. So I'm going to write my squiggly bracket y, and my y is going to be here from negative 4 to positive 4. Now I just need the inequalities. So from negative 4, okay, the function, this line that we're trying to determine, it goes on top, right, above the negative 4. So that means that it's going to be greater than negative 4. And it's an open circle, so it does not include the negative 4. So y is greater, so y wins, right, gets the 2 cookies. Y is greater than negative 4. From here, y is going to be less than 4 because the graph, or this function right there, is below the 4, right? So it's going to be less than 4. Y is less, so it gets 1 cookie because it lost, and that's the domain.